with messages. Lots of people have messaged me to say, I can't make it live. Can I watch the replay? So I promised I'd record. So today, the plan is we're going to be doing a guided breathwork practice. And today we're going to focus less on breathwork techniques. And I've done that for a particular reason. The reason being that some breathwork techniques are really not very suitable for certain medical conditions. So we need to be a little bit careful, because breathwork, not all the time, but a lot of the time, is quite heating in the body. So it can be, and when I say heating, what I mean by that is from an Ayurvedic lens, it raises our pitta. So we're more likely to get things like high blood pressure. We're more likely, if we're already experiencing high blood pressure, it's likely to become a problem, as well as some other conditions it's really not suitable for, including pregnancy, detached retinas. If someone is prone to hyperventilation due to things like extreme anxiety, again, some of these like more complex breathwork techniques can not be suitable. So what I have devised for us today is something that is more calming, cooling, relaxing, but rejuvenating at the same time, as well as quite healing. So we're going to be combining somatics, some use of some mantra, and some use of the breath. So in terms of the actual technique we'll be using, it's super simple. All you need to do is try and make your out breath longer than your in breath. In terms of pace, in terms of how quickly you go, that is completely down to you. What you are likely to experience after around the 15-minute mark is, oh, we've got Louise joining us, bear with. It's not unusual around the 15-minute mark to find yourself getting bored, frustrated, a bit like meditation, right? You know, we tend to have that barrier, sometimes a bit quicker than the 15-minute mark, where we're just like, oh, fed up now. What I would invite you to do is keep going, because it's on the other side of that 15 minutes that you really start to access those bliss states. You really start to access that feeling of calmness and safety within you. It's so, yeah, please try and keep with it as we go. Like I say, the pace is completely down to you. And if at any point you feel dizzy or uncomfortable or just not right, feel free to just let go of what you're doing with the breath and just focus your attention on the breath, as opposed to trying to change it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Hi Louise, lovely, gorgeous to have you here. Hope you're doing well. Lovely. What I was just saying is the breathwork technique that we'll be using is just super simple. Pace and that side of things is completely down to you as an individual. But what we're going to try and do is just make sure that the out breath is longer than the in breath. Okay, this has like a really kind of calming effect on the body. And we do this, right, automatically. If you've had a bad bit of news or something's gone wrong, you're more likely to go, right, that kind of huffingness. Me and the dog will often huff together. I'll huff and then she'll huff. So we automatically know this. It calms our nervous system down. It makes us feel better. It gives us strength. It releases that tension and it releases that tightness. So that's the kind of technique we'll be using. How the guided process will work is we're going to have some music playing in the background. And at the beginning of each song, I will be giving you a mantra. And that mantra, what I invite you to do is use it with the breath. So for example, I am safe. might be one that we use. So if you say to yourself, on the in-breath, I am safe. I am safe. And as you're breathing with that mantra, what I invite you to do is explore what comes up for you in your body. So start to notice if you have any contraction around that mantra, if there's any tension that gets formed as you say that mantra, if there's any part of you that wants to resist that mantra. And then we're going to breathe into that area of the body. So imagine that breath disintegrating that tension and tightness and bringing in more of that thing that that mantra represents. So breathing in more safety, releasing anything in your body that doesn't feel safe. Does that make sense? Is that, yeah? Okay, cool. Fabulous. Then we're going to have a little bit of space at the end to share anything that came up for anyone, do some kind of integration, make sure you're okay with anything that's come up, and share any experiences. Some people have memories, visions, just like, say, for me, the somatics in the body is super powerful. Like that just feeling and sensation in the body is super powerful. So, you know, there might be things that you just feel like you need to share and you want to just get clarity on or have questions about after the practice, and we can go through that. And then for those of you that are interested in the new breathwork facilitation course we've got coming up, which will be starting in October, stick around because I will talk you through that and answer any questions that you have, as well as a little special offer as well, of course. So, any questions before we begin? No, we all good. Okay, what I will say is, as I'm playing the music, after I've told you the mantra for that song, I'm going to put myself on mute because otherwise it can disrupt the music. And you know, it can disrupt the experience. This is the fun of doing it on Zoom, right? Rather than a hall. But we're up for a challenge. Louise, can I explain it? Yeah, of course I can, lovely. So the breath work is super simple. All you need to do is make your out breath longer than your in breath. So say you're breathing in for 4, you breathe out for 6. You don't necessarily have to count that, but you know, have an awareness that you want that out breath to be a little bit longer. And you can play with this as we go through it, right? Find that sweet spot for you. What is the perfect balance of breathing in and exhaling? What does that feel like? What's the perfect speed? What's the perfect pace? And as you go through it, you might find that changes. So, you know, have some freedom with that as well. And what we're going to do is have a mantra for each song that we go into, and we're going to use that mantra to breathe in that feeling within us. So, for example, if the mantra is, I am safe, we are going to breathe in that sense of safety, but at the same time, noticing if there's any resistance in the body, any tightness in the body in regards to that feeling of safety. And then we're going to exhale that. We're going to release that. We're going to let that go so that actually it becomes easier and easier as the song goes on for you to feel safe in your body. And we're going to do that for a number of different mantras, which I've kind of aligned to the chakra system so that we can make sure we're hitting all the points. Does that make sense now? Yeah? You are so welcome, lovely. Okay. In terms of position or how you want to do this, breathwork can be done sat up or laying down. I personally, if I was doing this, I'd be laying down. because I think you get a deeper sense of surrender than when if you're trying to sit up and you're worried about your posture and you don't want to be collapsing inwards, and that can create more tension. You want to make sure that you've got good room in your chest cavity to take in that oxygen. So if you're laying down, it is probably the easiest and the comfiest, and it's going to give you the best experience. And feel free to use cushions underneath you if you're anything like me. If you've got aches and pains, position yourself so that you can, I like cushions under my knees. I will often put cushions around my hips as well as like around my head and neck, so that I feel really supported. So I'm going to give you a moment to get comfy now. Do whatever you want to do. You're welcome to keep your cameras off. If you prefer to turn your cameras off, no, wait a minute, you're welcome to keep your cameras on, but if you would like to, if you feel more comfortable turning your cameras off, that's absolutely fine. Do whatever works for you. And I will get the music ready while you get sorted. So initially, I invite you to just become aware of your breath. We're just going to become aware of that gentle rise and fall, and allow it to bring you back into this moment. And if you're feeling any tension in the shoulders or neck, feel free to kind of give yourself a little bit of a stretch or shoulder roll to allow you to find some softness in the body. Maybe swaying the body, lifting your arms above your head if you could. Before coming into a sense of stillness, starting to practice that breath now, find a rhythm with that breath. And you can do this through the nose, or if you prefer, you can exhale through the mouth. mantra we're going to work with is I am safe. I am safe. So we're breathing in that safety. We're releasing anything in the body that doesn't feel safe right now on the exhale. Breathing in that safety and releasing any tension against it. And feel free to change between breathing in and out of the nose and in and out of the mouth. I am safe. I am safe. And if you feel any resistance in your body and feel the need to place your hand on that area of the body, that's absolutely fine. Trusting your instincts here. You may even feel like you want to move as you're breathing, maybe swaying. And we're moving on to the next mantra now, which is I am free. I am free. So we're breathing in that freedom, and we're releasing anything in our body that is restricting that freedom. I am free. we're coming on to the next mantra now, which is I am powerful. I am powerful. Breathing in that power and releasing any resistance within, anything that resists that power that you hold. I am powerful. And if at any point you feel emotional or emotion bubbles up for you, know that's absolutely fine, completely normal. You can allow that emotion to flow and move through you in whatever way feels good. You may want to shed a tear or maybe even make a noise. No one can hear you. Know that you can't get this wrong. You're just following your instinct. Remembering that mantra of I am powerful, bringing that power into you as you breathe. The next mantra, apologies, lovely, is I am love. I am love. Breathing in that love, releasing anything that's resisting it.
I
Exhaling anything that's not love. And we're coming on to the next mantra now. The next mantra is I am whole. I am whole. We're going to be breathing in that sense of wholeness and releasing anything within that doesn't quite correspond with that. Anything that doesn't feel whole is going to be released on the out breath. Breathing in that sense of wholeness. Exhaling anything that doesn't correspond.
the Baltic Sea, for great winds sing a song upon my path. I'm traveling now. Oh my love, I see you near, your arms outstretched, your eyes so clear. When I wake up from this beautiful sleep, you meet me there in the mystery. Walk with me, take up my hand. We're going back to a great homeland. We'll roll out to the water wide and deep. Then we'll jump in and rest our feet. Dissolve my name, lay down in the sea, and let that water wash over me. Dissolve my dissolve my name, lay down in the sea, and let that water wash over me. La 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 la, la la la. upon my path.
getting ready for the next mantra now, which is I am abundant. I am abundant. Breathing in that sense of abundance. We're breathing out anything that doesn't correspond, anything that resists the abundance within you. I am abundant. I am abundant. And as before, if you feel called to move your body in any particular way, let out a sound. Like I said before, you may even feel called to shed a tear or express an emotion in a certain way that's being uncovered with this breath work. So that's exactly what should happen. You don't need to hold back on that. Release that emotion in any way that feels right for you. Any emotion that's holding you back from experiencing that abundance within. I am abundant. And we're coming on to the final mantra now, which is just simply I am. I am.
Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again.
And just allowing your breath to return to normal now. Starting to notice the weight of your body, that feeling of gravity keeping you connected to earth. Grounding you down. Starting to bring some life back to the body if you've been quite still. Starting to wiggle the fingers and toes. Maybe having a stretch. Maybe even a yawn. Oh. Your eyes have been closed, maybe gently opening them, taking a moment to orientate yourself back into your room, slowly looking around your surroundings. Seeing if there's anything in the room that catches your eye, anything that's pleasant to look at. if you have a journal, you may want to note down anything you experienced, any mantras that felt particularly challenging, that you want to continue working with. Maybe also noticing the mantras that you found easy to embody, easy to call in. And I'm going to give you a moment to come back fully to this reality. And I'm also going to pause the recording here for those of you watching on replay to give everyone here the opportunity to share freely without the concern of it being recorded. Recording. Hello, lovelies. For those of you watching on replay, we just had a bit of a catch up and listened to everyone's powerful experiences from that breath work. And now I'm going to be sharing a little bit about our breathwork facilitator program that we have got coming up. When I say coming up, this will be starting in October. So we've got a little bit of a break. Reason being, summer's generally quite busy for people, right? You know, some people have kids and you've got to organize that, whatever that looks like for you. Or you might have, I don't know, summer can bring up lots of exciting opportunities, right, for festivals and holidays and all of those things. And we've got a few festivals and things planned, so it made sense for me too. Let me share my screen. That is probably going to be the best way to do this. Let me figure out how to do that. Bear with. There we go. It's just loading. Can you see that now? Cool. I'm such a, I don't actually know what I am. Am I a millennial? Such a millennial with my thumbs up. Like my kids would be cringing at me with my thumbs up, I tell you. So,
when you're on, Holly, it's the easiest way.
Isn't it? Yeah, what's wrong with the thumbs up? When did that become uncool? So I won't go through all the faff with you. But basically, let me talk you through our curriculum of what we have coming up. So this is, I split this into 6 modules. So this is going to run over 14 weeks. There will be break weeks in between. So 14 weeks. I don't know why I've worked it out in weeks. That's like not the best way to do it, is it? So once you've taken into account break weeks, it would be about a 5-month program. So initially we will look at an introduction to breath work, so the historical context, different types, because bearing in mind that, you know, breath work is present in many different traditions, but it's also present in things like, so for example, in like the psychology community, if we look at the work of someone like Stan Grof, who was the founder of transpersonal psychology, which is like the main psychology methodology that's used in therapy today. It's the main foundation of psychology for therapy and coaching. He was the founder of holotropic breathwork. So that's very different to something like pranayama. So we need to, I believe personally, as a breathwork facilitator, we need to understand the different lineages of these different breathwork practices, how they were used and why they were used, and what the purpose of that particular breathwork is, as well as looking at the different principles behind the different breathwork techniques. So, for example, in pranayama, you use different breathwork practices for different things. So you would use, you're not going to use breath of fire to cool yourself down. You use breath of fire to ignite that agni within you, that transformation within you. So that's that kind of fire energy. So that heat that we feel. Whereas we might use a more cooling breath on a day like today. So like an example I can show you now is if you roll your tongue into like a straw type shape, like it's really hard to do when you're like laughing, and then breathe in through that and release through your nose, you will find that has a cooling sensation in the body. So it's like sucking air through a straw as you roll your tongue. There you go. So we can use breath work for different purposes. Like I say, we will go quite deeply into pranayama because of the correspondence with Ayurveda and how we can use it for particular wellness issues we might be facing. So yeah, that might be mental and emotional, but that can also be physical. So breathwork has a wide variety of uses. We can also use breathwork. So we'll be looking at like rebirthing breathwork, and you can use breathwork. So a lot of holotropic breathwork is about going back to dealing with the trauma through the birth process. And that process, and when we were in our mother's wombs, we can kind of forget that actually we were alive during that process. And we would have experienced, as we were growing and forming into babies, our mother's experience. So if our mothers experienced particular, not only what toxicity they took into their body, but if they were experiencing extremes of emotion, that would have been picked up by us as tiny little babies, and that would have influenced that trauma would then be formed in our own body. So there's a huge variety of different types of breath work that we'll be looking at, as well as like the feminine form breath work we use today, things like DMT breath work. If you haven't heard of DMT breath work, it is a very quick breathing process where you can access altered states of consciousness. It's pretty cool. It's like using psychedelics without having to use psychedelics. So that's pretty cool. So breathwork is amazing, and it's free, which I find amazing as well. Like the fact that we have access to this anywhere, anytime, a bit like meditation, right? You don't have to go out and buy a load of equipment or anything like that. This breathwork is something that's available to you all the time. Anyway, I've gone off on tangents as usual. Throughout the modules, we'll have practical sessions. So a bit like what we did today. My intention behind this program is as much about you getting your you experiencing your own healing journey, as well as learning how to facilitate breath work for other people. So a lot of the emphasis will be on you using these different using these different techniques in order to heal, transform, find different levels of consciousness within you, understand yourself better, heal past traumas, learn how to use your breath to ignite certain energy states or emotional states. So it's as much about your journey, this program. It's not just here's a load of breathwork techniques, this is how you share it with people. With everything I do, well, you all know my main love is these practices that ignite healing within us, that ignite that self-inquiry, that give us the ability to transform that which we want to transform in our lives. So throughout this program, it will be as much about your own self-inquiry, your own healing practice, your own use of breath work, building that confidence with it. As well as like the really practical, boring bits, like developing a breathwork routine, how to sustain that, as well as like the advanced breathwork techniques, which we kind of touched on a little bit there in terms of like DMT breathwork, and using breathwork to access past lives, different states of consciousness. We'll also look at how to facilitate breathwork, what that means, how to structure sessions, as well as in what's going to be appropriate for what setting and what audience. As well as like other practical things, managing group dynamics, real life scenarios, what to do in, something happens, like you talked about, Tam, what to do in those sort of scenarios. And then we'll be looking at integrating it. Integration is a big part of breath work. And what I mean by that is it's a bit like, let me stop sharing. Actually, no, I probably shouldn't. I'll talk a bit about that in a moment. I'm going to share the rest of the details. So just quickly, it begins in October. It's 14 weeks. Like I say, there is break weeks in between that. So actually it spans over 4 to 5 months. As this is the first cohort, I'm offering a 50% discount because I want to get your feedback and to get your experience of it to feed into how this program runs and whether there's particular things that we need to add or take away or that work or don't work. So for example, if as we're going through the program in this first cohort, attendees say, do you know what, I want to spend more time doing that and less time doing this, or I think it'd be better if we went deeper into that and less deep into this, then I can do that with you. I can actually create the course with you, hence the reason it's discounted. So it's a bit ridiculous really, but I'm offering it at £600. There's also an extra special £100 off if you sign up for the end of the 4th of July. So that's next Thursday. So you get an extra £100 if you sign up within the week. Let me stop sharing that because I want to talk to you about integration. I will share the link with you so that you can have a proper look at that, because I've kind of just skimmed through the curriculum. Breath work, it's a little bit like, or it can be depending on the technique that you use. Breath work can open up our consciousness so that we can access things that perhaps we haven't accessed before. So a little bit like plant medicine, many of us that are interested in healing and the wellness world would have seen this real resurgence of psychedelics being used in healing. So whether that's ayahuasca or microdosing with mushrooms is a big thing at the moment. Even cannabis can be used as a kind of heart opener to actually access that, you know, where we've built up walls against our trauma so we can't access it. Breathwork can be similar in the respect of it opens us up. So when it opens us up, we can find that it unveils a load of things, right? And we're like, oh man. And so the breathwork, to a certain degree, can help release some of that trauma. But also then we have this integration of, oh, okay, so this thing that I thought was true about myself, or this thing I thought was true about this situation wasn't, and I've now got this new truth or this new thing. And what does that look like in terms of my life? Do you know what I mean? It's one thing to know something, it's another thing to integrate it. So for example, you might realize that through your breathwork journey, oh my God, I'm treated like a doormat by most of the people that I love. And so it's really important that we're aware of how we can support people with that integration process of, okay, so now you've got this new truth. What do you want to do with it? What would that look like for you? How can I support you with that? Because what you don't want to do is open up a load of people's wounds and then go, right, crack on with your life. Crack on, while they're feeling raw and vulnerable. You know, it's that, how can you integrate that back into your life? So that forms a good part of the program, because that's where the healing really takes place in an external sense. We can, when we heal the inner world, we then have to take that additional step to heal what our external world looks like. So like in that example, if you realized, you know, your partner treats you like a doormat, what do you want to do with that? You know, is this something that you feel comfortable talking to them about? You know, what does that look like in terms of how you want that to change? What do you want it to look like? And then supporting people through that process.